Hello, good morning. I thought I would just put the video on for a little bit while I can and show you what I have been up to over the last few days. Well, not everything I've been up to, but one of the things I've been up to. I hope you're all well and surviving these strange lockdown times, or I don't know if you are in lockdown, but most of the world I think is pretty much still in this COVID crisis, and we're certainly in the thick of it here in the UK. My mother-in-law's had her vaccination, which I'm really pleased about. I'm waiting for my parents to get theirs, and I hope that I'm not too far behind them in the line after that. I'm not highly vulnerable, but I'm medically vulnerable. But I don't quite know where I come in the scheme of things. I think with the over 60s is where I come. Anyway, I wanted to show you this little art journal sketchbook that I've made. Just a traditionally, well, not strictly traditionally bound book, but nonetheless a very nice little sketchbook which I've made as a gift for somebody. This is handmade Indian paper with polka dot grey fabric there, making a nice soft spine. And then I've bound its one sheet of 300 GSM watercolour paper and a sheet of cartridge paper in each signature. So there's like a combination of, so you get a drawing paper and then a heavier watercolour cardstock. So yeah, it's a little bit loosey-goosey in places, but actually no, that's not bad. And actually binding like this, if you're going to collage or do junk journaling or anything in there, actually having that space between the signatures helps the book to grow. And you can see it's actually, there's a width at the spine end, rather than at the front of the book, which shows that it could grow quite a lot, and these will pull apart. So you're not going to get too much alligator mouth. Not that I think that the person I'm giving to will use this for that necessarily, but I was thinking about, you know, binding traditionally for junk journal style and how you can create enough space in the spine. And I tried a couple of things, one of which was slightly disastrous. I'll show you. I came up with the weirdest binding method ever. Look. I'm trying to disguise it at the moment, and partly because I did some things wrong. So I've done this journal here. And hang on, that's the doorbell. I'll be back. Right. Not quite sure where I was. That was the dog coming back from her walk. She's now been showered because it's very muddy out there. She's a long-haired dog and she likes to go out and lie in the biggest muddy puddle she can find. So if you can hear strange noises in the background, at the moment, this is the dog having her post-walk let's go crazy in the house for a few minutes. Hopefully she'll settle down soon. She's quite young, she's nearly 2 years old, and she still sometimes has trouble transitioning between levels of activity. It's all right, once this is over she'll probably just flump down and be pretty low-key for the rest of the day. Anyway, I was just trying to show you, and completely off the point really, although I'm not sure this has a focus. I was trying to bind a journal with lots of space between the signatures, and I put wedges in here, and then decided to paint the board after because it was grey cardboard. Yeah, it wasn't my, I mean it's a book that is together, and it works, and you can see there's loads of space in here, but I'm not sure that the outcome is really sustainable as a functioning book. Anyway, I can't really remember how I did it. It was one of my make it up as it goes along. Anyway, I need to do something because these signatures are really nice. Anyway, that's something for another day. So yeah, I finished up this art journal stroke sketchbook, as a gift for somebody. So the front and back boards are covered with this Indian paper, and then I've created a fabric pocket that's actually bound in with the signatures, from this lovely frayed just neutral linen here, and then there's a drawing paper, and then this is 300 GSM smooth watercolor paper, and there's only 2 sheets in each signature, and that's what creates this. So I think the ramble and getting the other book out was to say a better way than that really weird binding. I thought I might have been inventing something genius, but I don't think it is. That actually, if you do really tiny signatures with a couple of pages in each and bind lots and lots of them, that will give you space. Obviously that is time consuming to bind all of those using a kettle stitch in a traditional way, but actually I quite like stitching brick blocks together, so I might have a go at that and see if I can work on that sort of sense of binding a book that's traditionally bound, but has space for junk journaling and collage and building up layers and filling pockets, etc, etc. Anyway, that's what I've been up to there. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you was, this is my let me just take my Apple Pencil off here. Oh, come on. This is my like everyday notebook that I made myself, and it's a collaged file folder cover with oh, let me just turn that around. Right, let's just take that out. I'd written down some password on there, which needs to go into my secure keeper, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So this is a file folder that has been collaged on both sides. No, collaged on one side. Then I've added it's just some book repair tape to reinforce the spine, scored it to the width of the spine I wanted, added some end papers and fabric pockets, and stitched around. Then I stitched in the 3 signatures, so each signature, again with space between. I tend to kind of shove a lot of things inside my notebook, and it can get quite fat, so I quite like something that has, here you go, look, so various bits of paper, crochet patterns, and that's like a little planner, little 3-month planner booklet that I made, and so yeah, it's got pretty shabby and battered, which is what I wanted. I've kind of added a couple of pocket things in places as I've gone, and I then created this, after I'd stitched the signatures in, I created this pen holder, which is also incredibly useful, so because I always have a pen. And this is nearly finished. It's getting quite full. I'm going to run out of minutes soon, so I was thinking that I need to start working on a new one. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll have heard me say before that I regularly suffer from insomnia, and coming down sometimes in the night and doing a bit of crafting is one way that helps me to bear the boredom of being awake when I should be asleep, and the frustration. And so yes, I came down in the night and I collaged this file folder with bits of scraps that were around. It's not the most accomplished, it's quite neutral. I'll probably add a few other things to it, but actually what I think I want to do is start getting this new notebook kind of ready, so that when I do run out of space in the other one, I'm ready to go, because I find that if I don't have a dedicated space to put everything, I know where nothing is. It still doesn't mean that I'm organised when I have the book. I still forget to write things in it, or write them on random bits of paper and don't put them in it, but at least there's a chance if I've got a book ready to go when the old one finishes. Right, so I collaged this. I've trimmed it down to size height wise, and then I basically, because I think I'll make a bigger one this time so it lasts longer, so I then scored for the spine basically however much was left after taking what I needed for the width of the cover. So that's 4 centimeters. It's just over, it's about 1.5 inch spine. So I'll put 4 or 5 signatures into this one instead of the 3 that I put in the other one. And yeah, so I reinforced the spine with some book tape as before, and actually I'm going to cover the whole of the inside in fabric this time. So I've got this piece of linen. It's from a linen tablecloth. Can you see? Look, that was from France. Let me just take this off. I think it was Marie Antoinette. Anyway, it was very nice, but it's not really my style in terms of, I suppose I could have actually cut some of those flowers out and they would have looked nice. See, now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I should have used it. But anyway, it's all been ripped up. It's too late now. This is stained, and I see here we're going to see a bit of that tape at the top and bottom. Oh no, we're not, because there's something else I want to do to this. So of course we're not, that's why I cut it small. So I want to do something over the edge of these pages before they get stitched round. So I'm going to yeah, I'll show you a bit of that in a minute, and then hopefully I'll be able to come back and show you when I've done that part. So you can glue this on, you can just stitch it on. I like to have mine stuck down. I think it really, you know, it's a reinforcement to the cover. I want the cover to be flexible but strong. The other one was finished with acrylic wax sealer, which really does work well, but that has to be done after all the stitching and everything else, otherwise it makes the sewing machine jump. But another way recently because I've been making quite a lot of all fabric covers, I wanted to and I wanted to be able to reinforce the layers or sandwich things in between the layers without a load of wet glue going on. Let me just trim this top. I don't want it to get onto the front of my iron. So I started using, I've been using this iron-on double-sided interfacing, which is reasonably inexpensive. I think this is meant to be medium weight, but it is pretty light. And using that to kind of sandwich my layers and then stitch them around the edge. So I will just show you here, although it's not rocket science. So this is my little ironing surface. Is that, I'll put it in frame better. So this is just a canvas with a couple of layers of wadding fabric, of cotton wadding. It needs to be cotton, not wool, and not synthetic, unless it can withstand a high temperature, but I don't know which synthetics can. So I'm just going to get that roughly centered on there. And I think I probably just need to grab a piece of protective paper. Right, I've got some parchment paper here. Right, sit on my chair with the right way round to not fall off. Sorry if you can hear the dog galloping, the calming down thing hasn't happened yet. Okay, so my iron's nice and warm, I hope. And you need to go, you know, just smoothly and firmly. If you've got really thick fabric, this takes longer and you have to hold the iron in place for longer, but I'm thinking I haven't got as many layers as I had last time, we'll see. So I've got the iron on a hot setting. You don't want to go fast or go back and forward repeatedly. You're trying to keep everything smooth underneath here. Right, now the bin lorry is in the street. Right, let's have a look and see. Has that stuck down? Not quite there. Better. Yes. Just make sure these edges got caught. Okay, let me just switch that iron off before I forget. And pull the plug out for good measure. If I don't pull the plugs out, my husband gets paranoid that I've left them on, so pulling the plug out demonstrates to him that it's definitely, most definitely off. There we go. So, there is a slightly sturdier cover. The spine has the tape on it. And then the next thing I want to do is work out my pockets, because they need to go in before I do the edging and the rest of the stitching. So I want to use this fabric here. I think this is the last piece of this that I have, and it's, I mean, it's not vintage or anything, but I was really hunting for kind of a small print in a brownish colour, and I really liked this one. They were quite hard to come across. In these in a light cotton anyway. I found this one. I can't seem to find it again, so this is the last piece I have, and I do really like this print. So I thought I would put it into my next notebook so that I've got a piece that I've kept for myself. So I want it to be quite a nice big pocket, because I'm putting you know, full length, often folded up into 3 pieces of A4 paper, the height of the book. So I want them to be quite capacious pockets, pockets with capacity. And so it's not quite going to the edge, it's a shame. I'm hoping I can finesse that out. So I think I want something just to reinforce that a little bit. I don't want to make my sewing machine sew through too much tape, but I do want to reinforce at the top. So what I'm going to do is just put some tape on the back of this fabric, strange it through. This brown tape is it's called Picture Framers tape. It's super sticky, and it is not completely matte. It's got a slight sheen to it, but yeah, it's really strong and it works really well. No one's going to see it on this occasion, but it just gives some heft to that, and I can still go and stitch along the top there if I want to, but actually I don't think that needs it. I'm not really bothered. So that's all of that together, and now I've need to do the decorative edge that I'm thinking of before I can get it over to the machine. So I think I don't need to worry about the bottom. I can just stitch along there. It's probably going to be, no, because it's going to add extra glue. So I think I'm just going to get some clips and just clip this for now. Okay, that'll be fine. Just remember I really need to catch this, make sure this edge gets caught when I sew. But because those pockets go the whole width of the page, it won't matter if we lose a little bit here. And then when I do, the other thing I could do is stitch, I could stitch these long lines down here now. That might make sense. I like doing it this way. It gives you a really sturdy pocket construction. They're built into the covers of the book, and they can take a lot of wear and tear. I'm quite hard on my notebook. It gets thrown into bags, dumped in piles, buried on my craft desk. It's something I want to be able to wear and get battered and look old and used, or even more old and used than I've made it look in the first place. But I don't want it to fall apart. I want it to be functional. Tatty but functional, I think, is the... Sorry, drinking my coffee. Name of the day. So, I will show you what I wanted to do around the edge, and I should have been more organised and got more bits out. But I'm not going to sit here and do it all, I don't think. So, now, but I'm going to give you an idea of it, and then I will finish that off camera, and come back and show you either at the end of this or in another video. Who knows? Right, so my idea, let's take this the right way up, is that I want to use scraps of fabric. I thought that corner's not stuck down. Okay, I need to get the iron back on that. Okay, we'll come to that. I thought I checked it all, but clearly, yeah, it's stuck from there. It's just that corner hasn't still warm. I wonder if it's warm enough. Right, I just touched the iron with my fingers to see if it was still hot. I don't advise you do that. I don't advise that at all. It's the kind of thing I do when I'm not thinking. Yeah, total user error here, or or the cheap interfacing I got isn't very good. I'm suspecting, because I had a few issues last time I used it, and that was the first piece I've used from this batch, that it might not be the best interfacing in the world. I think I got it on eBay, but yeah, I don't think that piece of interfacing works properly. Never mind. We will work it out. So, I want to put pieces like this, and I've seen other people do really similar things to this with I saw Jessica Rapp using pieces of old quilt, I think, and she was doing something similar, like making an edging on something. And I just thought that grabbing all sorts of different neutral scraps, which I've not done a very good job of grabbing because they're not here. These are all the same, so I want to kind of try and mix it up a bit. They look the same. Do you know what? I think I took a load of them out for the looking for things for the tag challenge, the 52 tag challenge, yeah, I like to suspect that all in a bowl in another room. Right, I'm not going to keep that because it's got tape on the back of it, but I just want to give you an idea. And of course you can do this with any fabric you've got. You could also do it with paper and glue to create an edging. So I just want to kind of encapsulate the edges of this fold of this cover all the way around, with lots of frayed bits of stuff. So, for example, I could take This is just a really simple bit of lace sewed onto a fabric strip. So there we go. So we can make the top there. Move it down a little bit. So you've got a little corner there. And then I'm going to come in with another piece. I mean, you could do it in one long strip, couldn't you? All the way down one edge. So you could just tear strips that are long enough. Now I've got my pocket on the back here, so I need to make sure that I get that kind of closed in. If you don't know what these clips are, they're called clover clips. They're a sewer's thing. A sewer, they are used, they were designed and used for sewing to be used instead of pins. But I find many uses for them. I find many uses for them in the craft and art room. So that kind of gives you the sense, I hope, if you can imagine it without all the clippy clips. And that's, I need to do a better job here. I'm gonna have to do that off camera because I don't think I think I'm gonna get flustered and either go completely silent or start doing heavy breathing, which is my other thing I've noticed from filming myself. But when I'm concentrating, I seem to hold my breath and then do these big kind of sighing, noisy breathing things, which is not necessarily the pleasantest to listen to. So I need to try to stop doing that. Anyway, I'm going to turn the camera off now and carry on having a play with this. And hopefully I'll be able to come back and show you when I've got it all stitched together, and maybe we'll move on and have a look at some of the signatures and what comes next. Bye-bye. Right, I'm back sometime later. I have had one of those misbehaving sewing machine kind of days. I have a really old machine that belonged to my grandmother, and I think it's probably an 80s Singer, and it's kind of on its last legs, and it does a lot of crazy knot making and skip stitches depending on what I'm sewing, and that's usually fine. I embrace the messy style that it gives, and I like that. But today it's just been ridiculous. Partly my own fault in that I started without enough thread on my bobbin, then found another bobbin without enough thread on it, and ended up then having to wind bobbin. So I had to rethread up 3 times, and then at the very end, something happened when I was trying to backstitch, and my needle, it bent. I've had needles snap before. I've never had a sewing machine needle bend like that before. Slightly bizarre. So I hope I've got another needle, but I think the time may be coming when I have to start thinking about whether I can replace that machine. It's not a cheap thing to do, and last time I looked at sewing machines in this country, there were absolutely none in stock. Anyway, I found my scraps that had slightly different tones. So you've got just calico. This is cotton that's been dyed with some distress inks of some description. You've got a bit of sari silk, a little bit of trim I made there, you know, and the same all the way around, just scraps. There's a little bit of lace up here and a little bit of the pocket fabric just here. And what I first did was clipped it all the way around, and then I realised that actually that wasn't working for me, because the clips were catching on the machine and making it very heavy and unwieldy, and every time I took the clip off I pulled the fabric out of place. So what I actually did was stopped, came back over here, and then went very lightly around the edge with glue stick and just tacked all the pieces down in place. Same on the other side, just a tiny little smear just to hold everything there before I stitched, and the glue stick doesn't really bother, although maybe that's why my sewing machine needle bent. I say it's not a problem for the sewing machine, but I clearly have had problems with my sewing machine, so maybe I should have let the glue stick dry longer, although that would would make my needle bend, I don't know. So yeah, it's very shabby stitching, it always is though for me. And then I stitched down at either side of the spine. So these pockets here are you've got the tape reinforcing them at the top here. I like that. Yes, so they're really nice, really sturdy, deep pockets. Yeah, so we've now got a really nice, flexible but sturdy cover, and I do really like this edging on here. I like the finish that gives. I like the fact that it encloses all the layers that I've put into this journal cover, and it kind of encapsulates the edges like that. So I am rather pleased with that, and I'm trying to think, I said who else I'd seen doing something like this, and I can't think who it is. Anyway, I'm really pleased with that. I need to work out what's going to go into it, but that's for another day. I've probably carried on longer than I should have today, because I think my brain is starting to malfunction. I certainly nearly lost the plot with the sewing machine, but all in all, I'm really pleased with that start and that I'm there. And once I've done the signatures, I should have a new notebook ready to move into when I finish the other one. So that's all for today. Thank you ever so much for having a watch. Do like and share if you have somewhere to share. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you want to come back and listen to more of my ramblings. And I'll see you next time. Bye.